ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. You made it. The weekend is here. Friday, August 21st, Midday Market Report. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb. Live from Tampa. I'm from a rainy Cape Cod, 67 degrees. Expecting a couple inches of rain here today on the Cape, about an hour from friendly Fenway. Today's headliner, DEVERS returns to Fenway, and gray skies at least there. We'll be interested to see, A, if the game does get played, and B, of course, the reception for Rafael DEVERS back where he began. So first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scott?
Baseball's crazy, man. There are 8 elite run suppression pitchers today. This is the most I've seen. It's a great day for pitchers. Some of them are pitching against each other. Kenny White's calling for a bunch of overs. I don't get all that. And then these numbers are outrageous. I mean, did you see the Phillies line? It's like 200 or something. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like Dobbins into nothing, and the Cardinals have been winning games. So I found it almost extremely most difficult day to find a bet in Major League Baseball was today. It was awful.
We've reached that time of the year. Next Friday at this time, we'll be talking week 0, college football games, getting ready for TCU versus North Carolina and Dublin, Ireland, a bunch of other shitty games as well. I think the books are smart at this point, and I'll tell you why. When in doubt, what's the general public do? They bet favorites. They like overs. So they're going to make you pay a tax and a premium, because don't forget now, week 2 of the college of the NFL preseason last night, a late night backdoor cover. Over comes in with the Raiders game against Houston. 49ers annihilate the Chargers. That's just preseason. Some people think they got big edges, and I got 2 bridges to sell too, right here, the Bourne and the Sagamore. But the point is, next Friday at this point, college football will be here. We know the show goes on. In baseball, we got 5 weeks to go, and there's teams fighting for division, but there's teams also fighting for that third wild card spot. So you're going to pay a tax upon a tax. Luzardo's been great, Scotty. We know that. You know
No
that.
question.
Been great. And in comes St. Louis, who, again, Jordan Walker now hitting again. The kid Baez last Saturday was the next coming to Albert Pujols. And now you come to Philadelphia. It's not Sanchez. It's not Wheeler. It's Luzardo. But they say, hey, don't worry. We'll create another line. No rush into the window. We got exactly what you want, Scotty.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's listed as undecided as the pitcher, but with the information I'm looking at, it says it's going to be Hunter Dobbins. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, St. Louis, they're one of the 10 teams that are hitting, and I'm not saying the Phillies aren't, but at the same time, 250, 260, 270. Are you crazy? These odds are like oh my god, it's it's I don't want to say they're asinine, but at the same time they're like you don't bet into that, and you don't bet the other side either. I mean, there's no value in doing either one. So I just sit there and go, well, all right, that's a game that we sit there and go, okay, well, whatever, we're not gonna bet that game. And then I'm looking at, are you gonna pay -150 for Gusto and the Marlins today? Well, I get it. He's been pretty good as of late in terms of his numbers. His game score numbers haven't been the best, but I mean his underlying metrics are pretty good. And they're going to have a bullpen day in Washington, and certainly Washington's not hitting, so I get the number, but that's still like, oh my god! And then you're every one of these games it's -1. Even Mizorowski's -1. Well, normally he's -200, I suppose, especially at home. He might be -250, but it's Chris Sale. The Braves aren't hitting worth a shit, so I think that's a dead ass under. But at the same time, look at the number; it's a 6. Like, okay, well, whatever. I'm not going to bet that under. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm sitting there and I'm going down the whole board, and the only thing that pops out at me is the Cubs, and I'm like, okay, well, what's going on with the Cubs? Why are they? They're playing Seattle. Seattle's like not the greatest team in the world. The Cubs have been pretty good. The Cubs have maybe their best pitcher pitching today, and there's pick 'em slight. I'm like against Hancock. Hancock's pretty good, but he's not even the Mariners' best pitcher. So I'm like, I kind of like the Cubs. That's the only game that I sat there and I even looked at. And then when I started doing the game and looking at the numbers, boy, Boyd's under the hood numbers aren't very good. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't like that either. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm just going to go write an article today about TCU and the bet I made about that. That's what I did. I was like, all jacked up to go. Hey, we got. Let me see. Put this over here for a second. We got. Well, it's better to do it on the other screen, I guess, because it's bigger. We got Sale and Mizorowski, right? Two elite suppression pitchers, really great numbers, really great results. And then we got Luzardo, he's in that same category. And then we got Schlittler, who's in that same category. And then Burke, you might not think he's in that category, but he is. White Sox. And then you have Cameron, who's been unbelievable for Kansas City. Now, of course, I'm not even involved in looking at that game because it's Kansas City, and well, I guess I did look at it. Detroit, and then you have two other ones going head to head against each other, which was surprising to me. But it's Detmers and Gore. I mean, these guys are pitching very well. The teams aren't hitting that great. And this should be a great pitcher's day. Should be lots of strikeouts. Should be lots of swing and miss. There's not a lot of bad RE24 scores. The worst one is the Blue Jays pitcher today. I know does it still say undecided for Toronto?
Toronto,
It says Hardy, right?
Toronto, yeah, I think that makes sense here. Hold on, where's my eyes not working? Of course, yeah, Fluharty.
So Fluharty's a relief pitcher. He's going to open this game, and the pitcher today is Arrighetti. Arrighetti, who they got, at the trade deadline, and it'll be his first start for Toronto, and it'll be his first start in a month. And in the last month, 2 months that he pitched, he was horrible. So I understand why the Yankee line is so big, 200 or whatever. But I guess where I'm going with this is, man, is it really hard to sit there and okay, well, let's pick the -1.5 then, right? No, the Yankees don't hit. The Yankees don't score runs. Of course, they scored a little bit yesterday, but the point being is that I think baseball is pretty tough right now. It's a pretty tough road to hoe. Um, you know, Peralta's pitching for Tampa Bay today, and Tampa Bay should be favored over Baltimore, but because it's Peralta, and because Rogers is pitching on the other side, it's Baltimore's the favorite in this game. So I was like, well, maybe I should take Tampa Bay and look at that as a pretty good dog. Well, uh, Tampa Bay's hitting about average. Baltimore's hitting a little bit above average, and they got their pitchers pitching well. And Peralta's still trying to figure it out, and the Rays are trying to figure him out. Well, to be honest, his game score for the Rays, he's pitched 3 times. The last 2 have been in the 50s, so he's pitched at least average. I don't know that average is going to get it done against Baltimore today. Baltimore's kind of at the point now because they just got swept by the Yankees or whatever that happened in that Yankee series. I know the Yankees won the series, but their back's up against the wall, so they got to win. And they just beat the Rays a whole bunch of times down here in Tampa. So the Rays are going to go up there and go, man, we want to beat the crap out of this team. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to stay away from that one. There's just all kinds of craziness going on in Major League. It's a crazy damn sport, Jeff.
Well, again, be probably one of our shorter shows here. LOL. Devers heading back to Boston, weather permitting tonight. Be interesting to see the crowd response there. Ketel Marte, 10-day DL knee, but they're expecting him back. What other stories out there? We're at that point. Roman Anthony, they got it all scheduled out. Play in the field, DH, day off, blah, 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 blah. Haven't heard anything from the Story camp of late. Thoughts on what you're seeing, hearing in the world with 5 weeks to go?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to note here, and the first note is I don't want to sit here and say, hey, Tampa Bay is in jeopardy of losing the AL East, but at the same time, they're in jeopardy of going to lose the AL East. They're not hitting well enough, and their bullpen's not really closing things down. And they've got a couple of spots where you got Seymour that pitches, and Martinez is hitting the end of the season, and his run's kind of getting over, and he's just an average pitcher at best. And then you got Peralta. So they got 3 guys that really aren't pitching really well. And then you can, it's just, they got Rasmussen, and that's what they got. So I'm a little worried about where Tampa Bay. They're not missing the playoffs, but the Yankees on the other hand, every time they go out and pitch now, they give up 1 or 2 runs and still lose, or whatever the scenario is because they can't score. But Aaron Judge is hitting off a tee right now, so I think he's coming back soon. And Bellinger's in rehab assignment right now, so he'll be back next week. So there's going to be some offense coming, and we'll see what they look like with Judge and Bellinger and whatever going on in that offense. And they can make a run towards the end and actually take out Tampa Bay. I know the Red Sox are looking at Roman Anthony, but I don't know. I don't know the story. I don't know what's going to happen with that guy. But they just need to keep doing what they've been doing. Win series as best you can. I'm not saying that you're going to catch the Yankees, but you got to stay ahead. You got to stay ahead of the guys chasing you behind, and they're still pretty well ahead. I think the third place team in the American League right now in the wild card, I think they're still 4 games behind. I think it's 4 behind Boston, and Boston I think is 4 games behind the Yankees, or 3.5.
5.5, Scotty. 5.5.
So that's a lot. You're talking about. I mean, that's not insurmountable, but it's a lot. You got to have a collapse on one end and a run on the other to make up that number. And the Yankees are getting within striking distance of the Rays. They're 3.5, 4 games back now, so it's pretty close. And Garrett Cole, I think looks pretty damn good. So So, when we talk about the American League, Jeff, I think we're only talking about those three teams. We said that before. Seattle looks toast to me. That doesn't mean that I think that you should rule them out. But who? I mean, what do you got? The Rangers and the Astros, and Jesus, these teams are awful.
Minnesota, Texas, Toronto, all with 63 wins. Cleveland, 62 wins. Tigers, 61. Baltimore, 61. Seattle, 60. So as we sit for the third wild card spot, Mariners, 3 back. Orioles, 2 back. Tigers, 1.5 back. Guardians, 1 back. Toronto, a half game back. And Minnesota, Texas tied.
Well, the good news for Cleveland is they have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. They play 34 games left. And the only teams that are good that they play remaining, they got 3 with Boston and 3 with the White Sox. They have 3 with the A's, 3 with the Rockies, 3 with the Angels, 6 with the Royals, and 3 with the Orioles. So when you think about where they're at, that's a pretty good spot for them. But Seattle is listed as the 29th team, so they've got a fairly easy road to go. And Toronto, they have the 28th easiest schedule left, and the worst team that they play, the team that they got to beat is the Yankees. They got 3 games with them, and that's this weekend. And then everybody else is bad team for them. So that should be pretty good for them. And stupid Bieber yesterday, or through 7 innings, he gave up like 3 hits, 4 hits, 1 run, something like that. If they can get pitching from the dead guys, that's going to be great for them, because they're still trying to go, and they've started to hit just a little bit. Kirk, the catcher, has been their best hitter, and he's really driving their offense. They've been better with Guerrero out with a concussion. Guerrero's down in the minor leagues rehabbing hitting right now. So I think that was interesting. Minnesota is listed at 26. The White Sox are 27th. So some of these teams have some certain advantages. The teams that don't have, advantages kind of in the mix when you start to look at stuff, there are some of these teams like the Cubs. The Cubs still have to play a lot of good teams. The Braves have to play a ton of good teams. The Phillies still have to play a lot of good teams. Milwaukee, Tampa Bay is 11th on the list. They got to play a ton of good teams. Tampa Bay still has to play. They got to play 3 against the Braves, 4 against the Yankees, 3 against the Phillies, 3 against the Red Sox, 3 against the Padres, and 3 against the Astros. They're going to need to start hitting. Otherwise, some of these other teams can catch them. So I'm a little worried about what's going on in Tampa, in that realm of the world. And then you got to think about, well, what about San Diego on the other side, and what about the Diamondbacks on the other side? And San Diego has the 15th hardest schedule, and Arizona the 23rd hardest schedule. So, and that's because Arizona is done with the Dodgers. They don't have the Dodgers, and San Diego still has 3 with the Dodgers. But listen to this: they got 3. San Diego's got 3 with the Dodgers, 3 with the Rays, and 3 with the Yankees, 3 with the Diamondbacks, and 3 with the Marlins. And they don't play, like the A's or somebody. They still got to play the Rockies, but that they can beat the Rockies. But they got teams on that side like the Twins and the Pirates, and those teams are still kind of fighting for stuff. Maybe not so much the Pirates, but the Twins are. The Twins are doing what they can. That's an interesting matchup today too, by the way, with the Twins and the Padres. The Padres have you call him luck box, but Vasquez is pitching tonight against Prelip, and when you look at that game. I don't think there's, other than, home field, Vasquez is not the better pitcher. And currently, when I look at the data on hitting for those two teams. Let me go over here for a second. I get it back over here. When I look at the data on the hitting for those two teams, San Diego's down now scoring 2.8 runs a game. They are 95 weighted runs created plus, so 5% worse than an average team. They're 2.2 runs worse than an average team. And you know, you got the Twins are ninth. So they're top 10 in offense. So I sit there and go, you know, 13% better than an average team and 2.5 runs better than an average team. And they got the better pitcher. That might not be a bad spot to look tonight. The Twins against San Diego, because I certainly don't like Randy Vasquez very well.
What do you tell the people here? This is usually when I bring you forward. I mean, you can break a game or two down. I have no problem with that. You can talk what your numbers say. You know, we can turn this into our normal hour show, or it's Friday. It's payday. You don't want to be the pizza guy. What do you tell the public today, Scotty?
Well, here's what I think you can do. The reality is, where's your edge in these games? So for the first game, right? The first game is 4 o'clock. It's Atlanta and Milwaukee. You got two really good pitchers, and you know, you might sit there and go, well, I think the Mizorowski's an edge. Well, maybe so, but not necessarily. I mean, when you look at the numbers, the run edge in the last 30 days is actually to Chris Sale. Chris Sale's a 1.65. Mizorowski's a 1.79. For God's sakes, both of these guys are under 2. That's why the total's 6. So now you sit there and go, okay, so these guys are going to do really good. Both of them, by the way, are over 40% in damn strikeout percentage. Both of them. One's 40, one's 42. So you know what's going to happen? These guys are going to go up there. They're going to swing the bat. They're going to strike out. So, you know, don't expect a lot of balls in play. Don't expect a lot of fun and activity. It's going to be a pitcher. If you like to watch pitching, this is your game. That said, there is a pretty big edge here. And you bet on edges. So what is your edge? Well, offense. Offense is your edge in this game. This game, you have Milwaukee offensive WAR ranked number 1 in all of baseball right now. Number 1. And the Braves are 29 out of 30. Well, that's a big enough edge that you bet. You can bet on that edge. Just alone, you can bet on that edge. And then you just bet, you find your value and say, hey, okay, well, you know, I don't know. Where's the number at in this game? 130? Is that where it is? Well, shit. Yeah, well, you can still find 130 at some places.
137 at Circa.
So that's about the average number. I would say that, you know, that's not that. Look, how often do you get a chance to bet Mizorowski at 137? And then think about it that way. You got Mizorowski, the best pitcher in baseball, and he's going to throw against the 29th ranked offense in baseball. That's your edge. So I would tell you that that's your bet, right? So that's a bettable edge. So then when you start to look at some of the other games, and I was trying to do this where I think there's a big betting edge in New York tonight. That betting edge is Arrighetti sucks, but you're going to be betting against Arrighetti coming off the disabled list, and maybe they fixed him, or maybe he's going to be better, or whatever. I don't know. And then, so that means you're going to have to look at a run line on the Yankees, and I just can't get there because the Yankees offense is just not good. But the pitching matchup really favors the Yankees. And then there was one other spot, and that was Baltimore, who has really a pitching edge on the mound. And in theory, they also, Baltimore, they're 16th in offense. Tampa Bay's 15th in offense. But what has Peralta been doing? Well, he's been getting bombed a little bit, right? So Tampa Bay's 27th in isolated power, so damage blows. They got to string a whole bunch of singles together to win. And Baltimore's 6th in offense in isolated power. So I think that's kind of an edge, and that might be a slippery slope to go down. But I do think that it's worthy of at least a look for Baltimore in that spot. So I think that's what you're doing in these games today is if all things are equal with the pitchers, then you got to find another spot, and or if you have a pitching edge, great. But is it really a pitching edge if your offense can't score any runs? That's the problem with like the Yankees today. It's even like worse. Like the A's, you want to bet against the A's every time you can. Well, if you know the Houston Astros are scoring 2.8 runs a game right now. I don't want to bet on their offense. I don't care who's pitching for the A's. The A's are scoring 4.5 runs a game. They rank 10th in offense for finally starting to hit a little bit. I know they can't pitch, but at least they're starting to hit a little bit, and maybe that evens those things out. And then you got to pay all these premiums. The line in that Astros game is unbelievable too. I think. Where's the Astros?
176.
Yeah, you want to pay 176 on a team that scores 2.8 runs a game? Hell no. You know that's the problem with where we're at in today's world. It's like the Red Sox today. Do you really want to go pay almost 200 for the Red Sox against Logan Webb? And I get it. Logan Webb's, I say this all the time. Logan Webb is the worst ace, well, quote, premium top-notch pitcher that they include him in with, Mizorowski and Sale and Skeens and, and all those guys. That's what they do with Logan Webb. He's the worst one of all of those guys. Now, that said, over his last month, pull up his numbers. Over his last month, Logan Webb is equal to in run edge to Sonny Gray. They're the same number. Logan Webb is 3.64 run value score, and Sonny Gray is 3.67. Sonny Gray has 21% strikeouts, and Logan Webb has 20.5. Hardly any variance, hardly any difference. And in fact, when it comes to like batting average, Logan Webb is 205 against him, which is good, and Sonny Gray is 267, which is bad. So San Francisco can't hit a lick, so I wouldn't be doing that. Then you sit there and you go, oh my God, where do you go with today? And you just find, in my opinion, you gotta find stuff like where do you so here's what's going to happen in that San Diego game, by the way, Jeff. Vasquez is listed as the starter. Vasquez can only pitch like 2 innings. He's going to be like an opener. And you know who's going to pitch today? It's Joe Musgrove's going to make his return today. So Joe Musgrove is going to be, quote, the bulk man starting pitcher in that game. I don't want to support that either because, and I looked it up. Let me look. Here it is. He made 3 starts in his rehab in the minor leagues, coming off his disabled list. He pitched 10.2 innings in the minor leagues. He gave up 17 hits and has a 5.91 earned run average. I'm not betting. No way. I'm not going to get involved in that. I might do the other side. I might do the Twins. I think the Twins might be the better solution there. So I guess my advice on today is, what's your risk management look like? And especially this time of year, some people are like, okay, whatever. I've done a lot of baseball. I'm kind of waiting for football. So I'm trying to hold my money. Or other people are like, look, I need to make some money for football. I'm going to take some shots. Well, I think the spots to take your shots are going to be Milwaukee and Minnesota Twins and the Chicago Cubs. Those are the 3 spots that I would say that look like opportunities to at least play and be in spots where you're not getting bamboozled and just maybe win. So those were the things that I kind of thought. I don't know. Do you feel that way, or you feel something different?
No, I'm looking at this board, and just from the eyes, Scotty, I'm going to fly down the board. Peralta, Rogers, to me, would be a Baltimore team total or nothing. I know Peralta's blown up like a wood tick. Money's creeping in on your Rays. Every time you put them in the underdog role, they tend to shine. So, what are we going to see with Peralta today?
Hey,
Schittler.
I will say this about Peralta. I know for sure Tampa Bay is working on him to get him better. And he's been better and better. So sorry, boys, we're trying to save our family doggy. He's very sick, so we have to be awake and ready. I'll be back. Well, sorry to
There you
hear
go.
that, bro.
Um, so again, yeah, you put the Rays in this sneaky underdog, and Peralta will be Cy Peralta today. The Schittler Toronto, again, it's a 7.5 now, a 7. It's got 43 written all over it. Uh, uh, Angels, Texas, I'm all set. Athletics, Houston, I'm all set. Detroit, KC, you said Cameron's been on fire. Listen, Tigers got to start winning. Maybe I take the Tigers in the series play here, but that's about it. Webb and Gray, I don't think they get the game in today. Maybe a doubleheader tomorrow. I ain't paying the tax on Gray, that's for sure. I mean, we know that San Fran has seen Gray a million times there. Mets, White Sox, again, White Sox got to start winning. Mets have actually been a little froggy of late.
Yeah, I
Nothing
think they're
on
7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, nothing on Cleveland, Colorado. Minnesota, San Diego is the comedy. Prelip was like Aaron Nola for a while. Now all of a sudden he's pitching better. Padres back home, right in the thick of it. Insert Vasquez, insert Musgrave. From what you're telling me, I'll take the Twins team total over and have fun with that. And then Boyd and Hancock, that's all I'll say is overnight. Cubs were minus 112. Now Seattle minus 107. Boyd pitched 5 great innings last Saturday, gave up 2 hits, both homers to Baez. He pitched fine. It was the bullpen that got away from him. I think the public will be all in on Boyd. If I had water gun to head, I'd take a shot on the Mariners back home. We got 5 weeks to figure this out. It's only a hunch play.
No, I get it. Like it's crazy. I get them. I send them to you. You know what they are. Kenny White's numbers. I thought he had an interesting one where he liked the Tampa Bay Rays and the Orioles over 7.5 today. He liked that number, and that didn't bother me that much. I mean, I think that might be one of those spots, but I think he's counting on Peralta getting hit a little bit. What I will say is the last time that both these two pitchers pitched, the very last time, was against these two teams. So Peralta's last start was against Baltimore, and he threw a game score. He threw a game score 55, and so it's a little bit better than average. And Rogers threw a game score 53. So I can't tell you, like those are like a little bit above numbers. Like usually it's a complete reversal of where those are. Well, what's a complete reversal of kind of that? Was it a 40 something? I don't know. That there's still the possibility that they could go higher numbers because they're not like outliers in that spot. So I didn't get any additional information there, but it didn't totally bother me that he went to that number, and then he's going to tell you to go play on San Francisco tonight at plus 157. Like, why would you do that? That's just, I see people do this all the time. That there's yes, if you won that bet, there's value there, but your chances of winning that bet are very small. It's a very small. But you don't want to take the risk on the other side of trying to win that bet. So that's kind of the trade off, right? That's why the books make them the way they are. And he does the same thing. Like he's telling you to bet on the A's today, which I told you, like, you don't want to go bet on Houston, but you don't want to bet the A's either. And he's like, oh, go bet them plus 160. No, don't do that. That's like dumb stuff. So I just thought he's saying in the Yankees game to bet over 7.5 today. Are you kidding me? The Yankees might score 2 runs and have to win 2-1. That's just the way they've been playing. So I'm not doing any of that. Although he does like Atlanta today at 127. That's because he has this game as Atlanta minus 105. Okay, how do you do that? How do you have Atlanta minus 105 against? I mean, like he's lost his damn mind, Jeff. So I didn't like any of his shit, and not that I bet his stuff anyway. But sometimes I'll see like a total that he has because I'm not the biggest totals player, and I'll look at it and I'll go, well, that kind of makes sense, and then I'll go look at numbers and go, well, shit, that makes a lot of sense, and I might play it. But I didn't really find that with him today. And I just thought, I think the board is difficult, but at the same time that it's difficult, you liked a couple of spots, I liked a couple of spots, still bettable, or you can just sit there and go, hey, there's I don't know what four NFL exhibition games tonight. I can watch that, or you can just go and say, hey, I want to watch Sale and Mizorowski pitch, or I want to watch Schlittler pitch, or I want to watch Luzardo pitch, because these guys are phenomenal pitchers.
NFL preseason, a couple flips that have not done well, people. So don't run these to the bank either. Pittsburgh opened up 3-point favorites against the Jets at the Circa right now. Jets minus 1.5. The total was 39.5, now 37.5. Carolina at Jacksonville. Jacksonville opened up 2.5. Now Carolina minus 1.5. A 39.5, now 37. There is a 36.5 at Calshi. Green Bay at Denver. Denver 4.5, now 6 at Circa. 38.5, now 41.5. So in English, people, they're betting on the Jets and the under. They're betting on Carolina and the under. They're betting on Denver and the over.
Well, let's say it this way so that everybody really truly understands what's going on. So last week in NFL exhibition, those games, there was a lot of spread line open this way, and the number moved 3 or 4 points in some cases. It moved a lot, and there were several of those games. So for this week, you're seeing some of this stuff. Well, how does that happen? The public doesn't move that number, guys, that way. So you have syndicates out there that are giving out their plays, and they're giving them out with the idea that, hey, we're going to win. RAS and those guys are out there saying, hey, go bet these games. So these guys do. They just blindly go bet whatever these syndicates are telling them to bet. Well, there's so much volume on those, and the premium on betting in a exhibition game is not the same as a regular NFL game. So, for example, if you went to Circuit tonight and you said, I want to go put 50 grand on this game, they wouldn't let you. That's too high. The limits are, they're not going to let you do that. I don't know what their limits are, but I know that it's going to be much, much smaller. So it doesn't take but a little bit of juice coming in from a syndicate to move those numbers. So are the syndicates right? Look, watch. They're not always right. And a lot of times they're wrong. And I'm not telling you to go follow what syndicates do. They're just like Jeff and me. They handicap a game. They got lots of followers, and then they advertise probably better than Jeff and I do. So they get a ton of followers, and then they start spouting off about how much they know. The truth of the matter is they're just like us. They might have some advantage to information, maybe, but other than that, that is what it is. What's Kenny saying? Greetings, boys. Hello from San Diego at Del Mar. Hey, there you go, San Diego. San Diego is a very pretty place. Now you got to remember, I'm 59 years old now, and when I was in San Diego, I was playing baseball in San Diego. Jeff, I'll tell you, when I was out there, do you remember the name Kevin Mitchell?
Of course.
Outfielder that played with big guy.
Well, let me interfere for 1 second. True story. Red Sox at home against the Mariners. I was with a group that had box suite seats. Walked out after the game, and I chased down a cab. In that cab, in the back seat, was Ken Griffey Jr. and Kevin Mitchell, and I got Jr. and Mitchell's autograph. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's an awesome story. I mean, anytime you can get those kind of players and stuff like that. But hey, Bean Boy, how you doing? That's a new one. Welcome to the show. So anyway, I playing baseball in San Diego. Kevin Mitchell is I can't remember if he was a free agent at that time or he was just signed or traded or whatever. But he was out there, and we're doing our thing, and he's out there, and he's hitting baseballs like unbelievably far and doing all kinds of crazy stuff that that was I'm so young at that time. I don't think I was even 20 yet. I might have been 19 or 20 and traveling all over playing baseball. And that's part of what we were talking about yesterday, where or not yesterday, but the day before, where you have kids that have to become adults and play with adults. And, I'm a kid, and here I am playing with Kevin Mitchell. It was unbelievable. Anyway, I always liked San Diego, thought it was a beautiful city, liked the beaches there, liked everything about San Diego when I was out that way. Anyway, Kenny, I hope you have a good time out there. And he's like, I'm not going to go to that damn Dodger Stadium. I've been to. I also went to at the time it was called the Big A, and I was out there. Watched. I guess I watched the Yankees play out there because I remember Don Mattingly was playing that day. Can't remember any Angel at that time, and it's probably because I'm old. And they didn't have all the rocks and all the stuff, and it was just an interesting. It was just an interesting stadium at that point in time, and I'm sure that since then it's still there, but they certainly dressed it up and made it a little more pretty. But anyway, all the way back to the original point I'm trying to make, syndicates change lines. They do this all the time, and it doesn't take a lot to move a number in exhibition NFL football. I'm going to write an article as soon as I kind of get off of here. I put one out today. It was my first bet of the college football season. I'm going to write an article today that talks about bet timing because I think it's important, and I think you guys got to understand in football there's a lot of things that happen. Like a line will open on Sunday night, and then we don't have access to the best number on Sunday night, but it'll change, and Monday morning they kind of open it up to us, and then we can start betting on it. Well, the truth of the matter is you have lower limits on Monday and Tuesday, and typically even on Wednesday. But a lot of books will open it up on Wednesday where you can bet higher amounts, and then come game day on Saturday, you can bet basically depending on who you are, whatever you want. And it's certain sports books. I mean, if you're a yin yang and a ding dong, they'll take as much money from you as you can give them. Obviously, if you're somebody that's a little bit more intelligent, they'll only take a certain amount from you. But they have their limits and they're posted, and they can't deny you the opportunity to at least pay that the limit that you want, if that's what you want to do. But those numbers change. So when you make bets, you got to understand what the future of your number looks like. So if you want to bet on an underdog, the truth of the matter is you might want to wait till the end, because everybody at the public side, like Jeff said, they want to bet a bunch of favorites. So that's going to make your underdog price go up. You're going to get more value and more points if you like that side. If you like the favorite, you might start thinking about where you're going to bet. And I'm just going to make a thought. Most of the people that watch our show probably aren't going to go and say, "Hey, I need to know what the what's the max I can bet here at this place." I'm going to guess most of our audience is not that guy. But at the same time, if you are that guy, you need to know that the limits change, and you might want to get down more money at a certain time or not a certain time. So that article will come, and we'll get into some of that stuff sometime either later today, maybe tomorrow, but depends on how I get to thinking about it.
Shout out to PB. Shout out to Timmy. Prayers up, Timmy, for you, your family, and your dog. Kenny, enjoy Del Mar. Padres at home tonight. Your time would be 6:40. First pitch, Vasquez versus Prelip. You get to see Mr. Musgrove back in the bigs. Maybe if you're out in the bleachers, you'll catch a few home run balls he gives up as well. There. Welcome to the show, Bean Boy. Check our timeline for next week's shows. We will have at least one football show. Me and Scotty will sprinkle in some baseball as well. The weekends here, guys. Again, don't run to the window. If you, Scott, I'll close with this. Scotty uses the word conviction. I did it on a tweet talking with Mr. Lucky the other day. We came back with Seattle the game after they won. They lost 22-0, and they went on and won that game. And the fact of the matter is, Mr. Lucky, tongue in cheek, says Helen Keller could have saw that coming. And I says, well, you still got to go to the window with conviction. If you got to scratch an itch, do it with some pizza and beer money. There's going to be plenty of spots moving forward. Next week in baseball, maybe a week zero, a play or two. And then the following week will be week one, as Scotty said, and I am going to reiterate. Week zero, week one, guys, the games are not good. Yeah, they're on TV. They're fun. Football is back. Trust me. Wait till week two in the college, where Ohio State travels to Texas, just to name a few of the marquee games. So,
Oklahoma plays Michigan that week.
yeah. So again, we'll do some talking in some college football next week. Some NFL injuries, fantasy football questions if you got it. Kenny and Rocket Sauce. I'm in my 21st slow draft, and a couple on the clock quarters and halves, as you know. As we get ready, this week in Circa is fantasy weekend. I did not partake in today's $100,000 a seat fantasy draft. I told Greg I'll be there next year. Wink, wink, LOL. So, anyways, from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Do yourselves a favor. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the last couple weeks of summer. Check our timelines for show schedule next week. And as always, stay tuned.